because the e-commerce in China was so advanced. They use a lot of technology and very crazy ideas to promote product and sales online.
Hello and welcome to the Auto Ethnographer. I'm John Stech, your host on this journey. We travel the globe to bring you stories about culture and the global automotive industry. Fasten your seatbelt and let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Auto Ethnographer. This is the second of a four-part series on marketing and consumer trends in China. Together with Grace Mo, we kicked off the series by setting the stage on Chinese demographics and the social economic strata. Today, we talk a little bit about China's cultural soft power and its global perception. Again, guiding us through these four episodes is Grace Mo. She's a trend forecaster and brand strategist whose career has mirrored and shaped China's extraordinary transformation over the past 2 decades. She's born and raised in mainland China and has worked with many global giants as well as some of the rising Chinese challengers, helping them navigate the country's fast-evolving consumer landscape. She publishes a weekly blog, something that I encourage you to subscribe to and read, and I'll be putting the link to that in the show notes. With that, I'd like to welcome Grace Mo onto the show. Hello, Grace.
Hello, John. Thanks for having me today.
It's great to talk. I know since the last recording that we did, both of us have had a cold. We've been sick. So perhaps our voices will sound a little bit different than the last episode. Last time we talked a little bit about the socioeconomic strata, the rise of the middle class in China, the current, let's say, precarious position, a little bit unsteady position of the middle class, and some trends developing, such as a shift towards more rural areas. We also talked about high net worth individuals and their role in driving forward the Chinese economy and consumer economy. This time, we wanted to talk about cultural soft power and global perception of China. And in the past, certainly China was famous, or I think I can almost say infamous, for copycatting culture and products. But that's really changing dramatically now from imitation to innovation. Can you talk a little bit about this development, how it's shifting from copying to innovation? And you have the great example of PopMart and their famous Labubu brand. Maybe we can dive into that one and really explore that one for a little while.
Yeah, I would love to tap into this topic because before 10 years ago, when we just talk about China, there people won't just mention innovation, that China is a country of innovation. We just call China is a copycat country. They just mentioned that China stealing ideas from other countries, and we sell copycats and counterfeits around the globe. That's we got the nickname of stealing country or something like that. But things changed fast in the recent years, and China rise and prove to the world that China is a country for innovation. And one very famous and well spread article written by American academia from Harvard University, if I remember correctly, they mentioned the China shock second. They they just mentioned that China just shocked the world for its innovation on AI technology and EV and biotech. But here, I don't want to just repeat what the academia mentioned for EV, AI, or biotech. I want just mention the soft power, which I just observed on the ground. I'm just as a trend forecaster and a future predictor, and I foresee, and I just I'm wondering whether soft power will be the next China shock to the world. As you just mentioned, there are some Chinese brand and Chinese innovative concept are exporting China soft power, the culture to the world. Like we just mentioned, the PopMart is a very good example. And their Labubu becomes a world cultural phenomenon, just encouraged by the world celebrities like Lisa of Blackpink. So that is a quite a cultural phenomenon, which means that China has a capability to export the culture and the soft power to the world. And maybe that is a sport we can keep close eye on for the future development, which happening in China and will spread outside of China to the world.
So you're absolutely right. It's funny to see on the television news how celebrities around the world are crazy about the Labubu and trying to
Yeah.
collect them. Quite famous names. Um, how did it get started? Was PopMart, the parent company of the Labubu brand, did they set out to make this an international brand, or did it start in China and somehow it just caught fire with popularity and spread beyond the Chinese borders? Was it by plan or by accident?
I don't think it is planned because it becomes a cultural phenomenon famous around the world and promoted spontaneous by world celebrities. I don't think that's an accident, but it is not planned either. And if you just look at the business model of the Pop Mart, you will be surprised. It is not the toy company, it is an IP company. I call it is a IP innovation company because they bought a lot of IP from the various artists around the world, and they use this IP to just to sell the product. And one of the famous product is Labubu, which actually is not inspired from Chinese folklores or legends. The Labubu, according to the creator, a Hong Kong, a very famous, now very famous Hong Kong artist, he mentioned that Labubu was inspired from Nordic folklores. So it is the story itself has no Chinese cultural gene, and PopMart used this as a cultural phenomenon because it uses the Chinese factor, which is not associated with geopolitics and the Chinese tarnished image around the world. That's a very smart move. It uses universal appeal instead of traditional Chinese elements to push this cultural product into the world, which was luckily highly encouraged and promoted by famous celebrities around the globe, like Blackpink's Lisa, who is the first one to wear Labubu as a back charm around the globe tour. So that's a fascinating thing.
No, I think you're absolutely correct. I think most people, if I think about the United States, probably do not know that Labubu is originating from China unless they ask or if they look it up.
Yeah, actually, that is a very smart move. When you just mention PopMart, you won't just associate it is a Chinese company. That's a very smart move. And actually, when you just look at PopMart's origin, that is a very humble story. They started very small and selling some Japanese toys and some very small toys. But the smart thing, the thing they made it right is they buy the IP. That is the
Mhm.
magic. They just let the business fly. Float off, so make them successful around the globe. And the one thing I have to mention is PopMart. Uh, aside of IP innovation, they use blind box to entice the consumers and hook them repeat buying the product and the toys. So that's very smart.
It's almost like using the hook, like getting somebody hooked on social media or on some
Yeah.
sort of an app that requires continued participation. You know, people keep buying and buying and buying.
Yeah, you never know what's inside. Sometimes they even just use the hide one. They call it 隐藏版. That is different from the original versions. They use a hidden version to enhance this surprise and unexpectation. So people are crazy about the blind box concept. I don't know where this concept come from, but they very smartly use this as a hook to let entice the consumers keep buying.
And the ironic part, of course, is that the Labubu has become so famous. There are actually now copycats in different parts of the world trying to copy the Labubu.
Do you know how to identify the authentic one?
I've heard that there are a couple of things that you can use as a guideline. Can you share those?
Yes, there is a secret which is well known right now because there are a lot of counterfeits around the globe for Labubu. And the method is very clever. You have to count the how many teeth your Labubu has. The authentic one has nine tooth. So that's a secret one. So after I heard this story, I count my Labubu, and actually he has nine tooth, so which proves that my Labubu is authentic.
Okay, so you have one, but only one?
Yes, I have one. I only have one, which was given as a gift by my friend. Even though I'm not a fan of Labubu, and I was very happy to receive it as a gift because it's a hype, and when you wear it, it's like a social currency. You got a proof from the society. People love it, and you have it. You have the social currency around.
Well, it sounds like I'm missing the entire movement. I better go out and get one.
You'd better have one. They have the smaller one that is very info for your just a very smaller one, which is better suit for the bag, which is smaller.
I think it definitely I have to follow up on that one with the Labubu. We had also speaking of smaller size. There's also the small screen size, and videos and watching trends develop coming out of China. And you and I had previously talked about vertical dramas. And, you know, it's a video series that's watched on the phone in extremely short episodes. I think there are 50 or 60 episodes in a season.
Mm.
And probably most people who watch them in Latin America, in the United States, Southeast Asia, they don't even know that this concept started in China. Can you talk a little bit about the vertical drama, how they developed, and how did that become a global phenomenon as well? Because this is really another great example of a Chinese soft power export.
Oh, that's a fascinating story. Actually, you know that the Chinese e-commerce becomes a playbook for the worldwide to take note of because the e-commerce in China was so advanced. They use a lot of technology and very crazy ideas to promote product and sales online. So actually, the vertical drama is called a mini drama, which it was originated in China around the 2020 and originally driven by two e-commerce platform like Douyin, Chinese TikTok, and Kuaishou to promote product sales online. And it lasted about originally it only lasted 1 or 2 minutes, but later on it evolved into a dominant digital format and professionally produced and made for mobile reviewing. uh, Actually, in China, people watch a lot of mini dramas and they call it 爽剧, like a feel good drama, because they use a lot of dramatic twist and tricks and to hook the people glue on the screen when they just swipe their smartphones.
I've heard from person that I have partnered with in the film industry before, that the vertical drama, the acting quality is not the greatest acting quality. The plot and the story is often quite similar between the different shows, but that they make it extremely addictive. It's impossible not to watch the next one. I understand.
Yes, that's true because they specifically designed for the mobile users. You only just watch it, considering the attention span is so short, and people cannot stand a video lasting for 30 minutes. So their attention span only can tolerate less than 10 minutes. Maybe 5 or 6 minutes is perfect for them to get involved into this uh, drama. So normally the vertical drama lasts 5 to 6 minutes per episode to hook the viewers to glue on the screen to enjoy the melodrama. And the winning formula is always like those 爽剧 feel good drama formula, like dominant CEO falling in love with me, or this kind of a 50 Shades of Grey style episode, which is most popular among the mass, especially the mobile viewers.
And is this something that the viewers pay for, or is this for free? How does the drama vertical drama producer, how do they make money?
I'm not just diving into the payment episode, but I assume when you just look at the vertical drama production app, there is a very famous one called the Real What. I have to check it out. Yeah, after couple of episodes, you have to pay, but the first two or somewhat you don't, it's for free, or maybe that's a formula, but I have to need to check. And most vertical dramas, popular ones, are free in China.
Okay, so they're free, and then they have advertising built into it, or some other method of monetization?
I think so. I think so because the original idea for mini drama is to sell the product. I cannot say why they wasted this opportunity to promote their product or service. So very smart, like the product placement. Why not?
Right. Well, I'm starting to understand from this podcast conversation that I'm very uncool because I don't have a Labubu and I do not also watch the vertical dramas. I'm not so well educated on those. Now, as
Mm,
those have also gone to an export market,
mm.
um, are they Chinese actors, and then they use language subtitles or dubbing on the voices, or has the concept now spread across the globe, and they are hiring actors in different parts of the world to appeal to different audiences?
Oh, actually, that's a very interesting question, John. And in China, they have their own production of vertical drama, but in the US, they have a different production
Hmm.
line, and they hire American actors and use different versions of stories. So the concept was originated from China, but the story was twisted and adapted to the local culture. In US, there may be any dominant CEOs to adapt to the US culture and delete the Chinese element, but in UK, maybe the audience will get used to Mr. Darcy. So they use different versions and storylines to appeal to the local people instead of one storylines. But the formula is the same.
That's fascinating. So it's really an innovative new entertainment platform that probably nearly nobody understands is originating from China. If you're in Latin America or in the U.S. or Europe, you probably don't even know.
Yes, they forgot it is originated in China, but it is originated in China. So that's very smart. So the Chinese people don't loudly announce it is from China, but actually the whole production team and the people behind Chinese companies and the Chinese people.
So it sounds really like there's a lot of innovation being developed there. Something which is it a big shift as we started off talking about it from the past with the copycatting.
Yeah,
We
agree.
uh, obviously this is based heavily on technology, right? The delivery
Mm,
of the vertical dramas. Um, Technology plays a huge role in Chinese society, right? With AI, live streaming, commerce, digitization of your daily life, and those are all part of lifestyle drivers in China. You've called this a retail revolution or even an
mm,
instant commerce war. Can
mm.
you explain to the listeners what you mean by that and how people have integrated technology into their daily lives?
Yeah, as I just mentioned, the e-commerce platform was so advanced, is so advanced in China, which becomes a playbook for the world to follow. And and in the past, in this summer, this heated summer in June and July and August, we have a instant commerce war erupted in China between the three giant players like Jingdong, Kang, Alibaba, and Meituan. They have pledged millions of dollars to subsidize to intense consumers and merchandise. And this instant commerce will reach its peak on July 5th and has been reached into the August with no end in sight. It's quite a phenomenon happening in China. Can you imagine you can, during this instant commerce war, you can pay 1 RMB to buy you can buy a huge cup of iced lemon tea for only 1 RMB. So that's amazing because of instant commerce war. And they use a lot of technologies to support the welfare, the warfare, warehouse, and they can manage use the technology to manage to deliver the product and the service within 30 minutes. That are quite advanced technology involved in this instant commerce war.
So, based on our conversation in the first episode, where consumers were starting to look very carefully at their spending,
Yes.
this is clearly an effort to help keep them spending, to help keep them purchasing, and keep the business running with these retail giants.
You are absolutely right. And you know why they plunge billions of dollars into this war. The reason behind is that they want to shaping future consumer behaviors. There is a hypothesis. It is about nurturing the consumer's behavior and for immediate gratification, get what you want and when you want. The hypothesis behind it is that once you get hooked on this level of convenience, and you will become addicted to make more frequent and spontaneous purchase online for the instant commerce to get a huge profit from your instant, spontaneous, and frequent behaviors because of the immediately gratification needs.
This sounds like it can be a great idea in the short term for these
Yes,
commerce companies, but it sounds like it could also be maybe a little bit dangerous, a slippery slope for the consumer in terms of their spending habits getting out of control based on being addicted to this type of instant gratification.
it's very dangerous actually for the consumer side. It's very dangerous because once you are hooked to this high level of convenience, you can get rid of it. You will keep spending more and more on those tiny, seems tiny expense, but actually in total it accumulates to a huge amount of money. Consider maybe 10 kwai RMB for a cup of coffee, then you just purchase 3 cups or 4 cups of coffee a day. Guess what? It is about 40 RMBs slipped away without your notice.
Yes, yeah, it adds up quite quickly. So you
Yeah.
have the convenience and the speed of the
Mm.
technology. It's so easy to use, and I understand, of course, that in China there are many very convenient and easy payment methods that are built into your phone and various apps that help to make this even faster.
That's very dangerous. You are correct on this point because China becomes a cashless society. People are getting used to pay online, use these apps like WeChat and Alipay on their mobile. I don't just carry a purse around when I just in a city or go shopping. I pay it through my mobile. Very convenient. So it is dangerous because your money disappear instantly in front of you without your notice. You just pay on mobile. So very dangerous. You are correct. So we assume that the technology companies be responsible, don't hook the consumer to spend too much. But actually, I don't know. It's a fierce competition. If you don't do it, your competitors will invest a lot of money on it. So, how to say?
Yes. So as we wrap up this short episode, part two in our conversation, this one on
Mm,
soft power and culture, it sounds like the three main topics we talked about: the culture wrapped up around the PopMart and the Labubu, the
mm,
vertical dramas on the phone that you can watch and subscribe to, as well as the last one,
mm.
the technology in this instant commerce war. It sounds like all of them are designed to help the consumer spend and to
Yeah.
get them addicted to something, whether it's a physical product or entertainment, in order to continue to get the consumer to spend money. That seems to be the common thread between these three different developments.
You can say that they just use technology to encourage people to spend more frequently and more on the product and the service. But on the other hand, they provide uh, infinite possibilities for the opportunities for the merchants. The Chinese economy is going slowly than before, so this also just provide a lot of possibilities to make money for those ambitious merchants and brands. Two sides of one coin.
Absolutely two sides of one coin. And it seems to open up the borders in terms of being able to make those earnings overseas with something that uh, apparently people from many different cultures are able to be attracted to these products. Again, whether it's
Yeah,
physical product or a entertainment product. Good,
yes, absolutely. If you are get used to this convenience provided and offered by high technology, why not? It's super convenience. That is the offer bliss of the modern society.
great. Well, thank you very much, Grace, for joining again for this second part in our four-part series and talking a little bit about the technology and the products and the soft power through brand from China. Next week, we're going to come back together and talk about electric vehicles and how the Chinese electric vehicle brands have taken over the market and how this is also causing a ripple effect across the globe.
I would love to mention about the EV market. That's a fascinating topic. Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And we'll be back next week for another episode to talk about those electric vehicles. In the meantime, thank you to all the listeners for joining us this week. Until next week, keep on driving. Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Auto Ethnographer and leave us a rating or comment. For more information, visit our website at auto-ethnographer.com. You can also follow on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.